Hello, everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about a few things on how to get your driver's license in Japan, whether it be through a conversion or starting from the beginning through a driving school. So online, there's a lot of conflicting information right now on forums, on posts, on videos, a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense, and it makes you want to pull your hair out. So that's why I decided to make this video. Um, so basically, what happened was in October of 2025, they changed the national standard for what is required to have a license in Japan, to get a license in Japan. It used to be a lot easier before, and it used to be a lot shorter of a process. Now it is almost a 9-month process with a lot of paperwork, a lot of hard tests involved. It is very different. So today I'm going to go over all that with y'all today. So for starters, to avoid the hassle, if you have an international driver's license, you do not need to deal with any of this at all. If you're only coming as a visitor, right? If you're coming as a tourist, you're here for 1, 2 weeks, or let's say you're coming for like a racetrack event, here for a month, whatever. You can go to you make an appointment ahead of time. If you're coming in August, call in February or March or something, schedule really far ahead of time and get an appointment to get the little permit card they get out. Because you can't that regular international driver's license doesn't work. You need to get kind of a Japanese approval of it because it's only good for 1 year in Japan. So if you're just visiting, call ahead of time, make an appointment, get to Japan, go to the center, pick up that little card or paper, whatever it is. I'm not quite sure what that is, and you're good. So if you're coming from Europe or the US and you already have a license, we'll talk about the conversion a bit. So I'm not too sure about Europe, but for the US, if you're from Colorado, Hawaii, Maryland, Ohio, Oregon, Virginia, or Washington, you don't need the written or the driving test. And if you're from Indiana, you don't need the written test. So really lucked out if you're from one of those states. I'm not quite sure why those states are exempt. And I will say the list is getting bigger because whenever I first started the process, I don't believe Colorado and Ohio were on this list. I think it was just like Maryland and Washington. So I think they're slowly integrating more states. But anyway, but for most people, this isn't the case. So we'll use me as an example, right? I'm from Texas. I'm not exempt. I have to go through the whole conversion process and, start from scratch. So, me personally, I got my license 2 weeks ago, but I've been driving for 10 years. I drove in the army, I drove for FedEx, um, came to Japan about 5 years ago, and just finally went through the process to get my license. So, if you're like me, you have to start the whole process basically from scratch. What you're going to do first is you're going to call the your local, wherever you're living at, your local prefecture driver's license center and make an appointment to submit your paperwork. So this is just an appointment basically for them to look at all your paperwork, see if it's good or not, and then they can put you to the next level or not. Now, when you're on the phone with them, they will tell you, and if they don't, make sure to ask if you're taking the written test that day or not. If you're taking the written test that day, then that's really lucky. If not, you're gonna have to wait. Probably you're gonna have to go through that and then make another appointment later. But we'll get into that. So, as far as the paperwork, what do you need? Bring just everything. Original copy with a copy of everything. I brought my passport, my American driver's license, my residence card, my Jumenhill. Um, your Jumenhill is probably the most important because it needs to be within 1 month of you going to that appointment. So if you make an appointment in January, you're going in April, you get it Jumenhill in January, that's no good. Okay? So make sure you get your Jumenhill a week, 2 weeks before you go to the test center. And if you don't know what a Jumenhill is, you can Google it, but you can get it from the ward office, or if you have a My Number card, you can get it from the convenience store. using the My Number card. So just bring everything. What a lot of people struggle with is when it has requirements, it says proof of being in the home country with for 3 months after receiving driver's license. And this is tricky for some people because some people like me, I renewed my license in Japan. So I was in Japan for 2 years. I renewed my license, and it said that my license was in 2024, and I was like, how do I get proof of this? It's really not that bad. Basically, you just need your driver's record. So bring your driver's record, bring your license, and then on top of that, bring if if you started driving when you were 16, 17, bring your high school transcripts, bring your job pay stubs, bring bills, bring credit card payments, whatever you have that shows your US or home, wherever you're from, address, bring that, bring a driver's record, and bring your driver's license, and you're completely fine. If you have your original driver's license, that is a bonus. That will help because they can see, okay, like the connection kind of. Some people throw it away. So if you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. Just bring a driver's record. Every state should give some sort of driver's record. Texas, I could just request one online. I paid like I think like $10, printed out a PDF of it. It's not that bad. But every state should have some sort of driver's record. And don't worry if you have like speeding tickets or stuff on it. They're not checking that. You know what I mean? They're just checking. You can white that out if you want. They're just checking to see when you got your license. So white it out, edited it out, do whatever. As long as you have the paper that shows your when you got your license, that's all that matters and how long you've had it. Okay, so you have all your paperwork in order, and now the day's coming up to go turn it in. Before, again, just like the gym and hill, before you go in, make sure you get a headshot picture done. You need one within a month of your appointment. So a headshot picture, I'm sure you've seen those little photo booths. You can just look up photo booth on Google Maps. It'll take you to one. And you're just gonna do a regular headshot. Don't wear a hat, don't wear a jacket. It's just like an ID photo. Get one of those before your appointment. So your appointment day comes, you go in, you're gonna submit everything. They're probably gonna give you a form to fill out. Um, and this all depends on prefecture too. Okay, so for example, Kyoto, you need to check in online before before your appointment date. So that basically they'll give you a number over the phone, and then you go online to the website. They tell you you register, and then the day of your appointment, you go to the kiosk and you put in your registration number, and it'll give you a little receipt. I don't know what the point of it was. It had nothing to do with the license. They didn't even look at it. So I don't know if it's just like an ID number of like your queue. I have no idea. And I don't think every prefecture has one. So I can't explain that part the best. But just if they require registration, make sure you register 1 week before your appointment date as well. And then okay, your appointment date comes, you walk in, you go to the kiosk, you put in your registration number, because once you register, they'll email you a number. It's gonna print you a little receipt. You have all your paperwork ready, whatever forms, whatever. You go turn it in. They're gonna either approve you or deny you right then and there. They're not gonna send you back and call your number. You're gonna be right there the whole time. And then once that's done, they're gonna you're gonna have to wait, and then they're gonna send you to the cash register. If you're approved, right? You're gonna go to the cash register. You're gonna pay, I believe, 2,000 yen, and then you're gonna do an eye check, I'll go ahead and explain that because that was really confusing and it made me fail the first time. I got to redo it right after, but they didn't explain the rules. So it's not like an American eye test A, B, C. It's one big C, well, big, and it gets smaller and smaller, and it has an opening, right? So if the C is facing this way, and you're looking through the little telescope, you're gonna point this way. If the C's facing up, you're gonna face up. If the C's facing down, you're gonna face down. So whatever way the mouth is facing, you're gonna point that way. Okay? So that trips a lot of people up because they don't really explain to you. It's just like a big line of people. You go and do it real quick and finish, but they don't explain it to you that well. And then you do a colorblind check too. So, um, I mean, if you fill out the form, they'll ask you if you're colorblind or have a disability, but you're gonna do a colorblind check. So, after all that's done, you go back, give them your paper, show them you did it, and they basically approve they pass your paperwork. So nothing, you're still haven't gotten really any progress. Your paperwork's just good. So up next is your written test. If you had the written test that day, you'll wait maybe an hour or two, and then you'll go straight to the written test. More than likely, though, if you're in a big city, they're gonna tell you to call on a certain date and make an appointment for your written test. So, for example, I finished everything on my paperwork date. Then on that day, they told me, hey, on Friday between 2 and 3 p.m., you need to call and make an appointment. And let me tell y'all, it is hell to get an appointment because you don't go on hold. You don't wait in a queue. If the line's busy, it hangs up on you. So you're calling, I think I called 70, 80 times trying to just get through to get on hold. And even when you get on hold, if you're on hold more than 5 minutes, it hangs you up. So it is hell to get that appointment. And it took me 2 weeks of because it's only on Friday. It's only on a certain day between a certain time they do it. It took me 2 weeks to get an appointment for the written test. And then the written test was 3 months after that. So you're gonna be waiting a while. Um, so let's say you call, you get the written test, and now you're like, okay, what are the Japanese rules? What's gonna be on the written test? The written test is a bunch of trick questions. So for example, it'll ask you something like, you should be cautious when there are people on the sidewalk or near a crosswalk. You would think, yeah, that's true, you should be careful. Wrong. It'll say, you should be cautious at all times while driving. It has a bunch of questions like that. And the one app that really worked well and I highly, highly recommend is, I'll show y'all right now. It's going to be, I don't know the kanji, but just look up. It has some of my like app history on here, but whatever. It's going to be this little, oh, I hope the camera can get it. That gets driver's license test, and it has a, is it gonna focus on it? Get driver's license test, and it'll have two kanji and a green and yellow arrow with a green background. I'm not good at editing, or I'd edit or it's a green background. Um, or I'd edit the picture in there, but I'm this is the first video I've ever made, so I mean that's the best I can do. That probably question for question will those questions will be on the test. Like 100, they're every single question was on the test was on that app, and there's about 6 different test versions, like I guess sets of questions it'll ask. Go through all of them until you're getting 100, 100, 100, and just practice that constantly. Keep practicing it, and the test will be in English if you want it to. So this is word for word, question for question, the best app. And for some reason, if you don't Google it exactly, it does not pop up. Or if you don't search it exactly, it does not pop up. A bunch of other apps show up now. I don't know why that is, but you have to Google it like or search it almost word for it to show up in the App Store now. Um, and it's called again Get Practice Drive Japanese Practice Driving Test. And it has two little kanji at the front. I think it's the I don't know what kanji those are. I'm not good at kanji. Okay, so you go in, you take your written test. That's all on you. I don't have any tips for that besides that app. And you pass. So they'll stamp your little paper, and then guess what? You have to wait again on the specified date at the specified time to make an appointment. So, and good luck because this is way harder than getting the written test. A lot of people pass the written test. The people that fail the driving test, are also calling that have taken the driving test before and failed are also calling the same time that all the people that just passed the written test are. I think it took me about three weeks almost to get an appointment. They only keep the window open. I think it was like Fridays. It's like 1 hour. I think I don't even think it's 2 hours. So just keep calling. I mean, have a friend call, have a group of friends. Just keep calling, and make sure you have someone. If your Japanese isn't good, make sure you have someone that can speak some Japanese, some good Japanese around, because they will hang up on you. If you're slow, if you're they're very impatient. If you're too slow, they will just hang up on you. You know, even if you can speak Japanese, if you're not responding fast, they're gonna be like, okay, too slow, next person. So that's the another big hurdle. So you're gonna make the appointment. That's gonna be another 3 or 4 month wait for the driver's test. And the driver's test near the driver's center, there's gonna be, again, this is Kyoto, so but I'm sure it's the same for most other big cities and other areas. Near the driver's center or at the driver's center, there'll be a map, right? You can pay 500 yen for this map. That's the only way to get it. And it's going to show you the driver's course. There's three different driver's courses you could take on the day of your test: A, B, and C. They will not tell you until 8 a.m. So you have to get there early until 8 a.m. that day which course you're taking. And each course is extremely different. And if you're wondering, oh, do they tell me which way to go? They don't. So you have to memorize basically three different courses and three different routes, three different everything. The courses are big, they're long, a lot of turns. You have to memorize three of them perfectly for the test, and then drive on top of that, drive perfectly for the test. And there's no advice I can give on that besides just study those papers. And if you want to, um, you can pay, I think it's like 5,000 yen, 8,000 yen to drive, do the have an instructor and drive through the course. But I mean, for me, that wasn't that big of a help, to be honest. It was memorizing the courses. That's the hardest part. Um, and take practice, classes if you want to. And we'll get into my opinion on this here in a second, because I think just not even doing the conversion I don't even think it's worth it. But anyway, so do your practice, study the courses. The day of your practice test comes. Let's say you pass it, and then that day you perfect. You get your license that same day. Now, if I want to be honest with y'all, probably not gonna pass. I don't care how good of a driver you are. You'll see online people saying, I passed first try, I passed like nothing. A lot of it, maybe that's true. I call BS on a lot of it. I drove military. I drove, you know, FedEx, like corporation. I've driven for years. I raced. I drag raced. I've been driving for years, and I'm not trying to say I'm a better driver than most people, but I'm saying that the test is made to make you fail. And I'll get into how I know this too here in a second, but they will fail you for the smallest thing, for nothing. You'll be sitting in the back seat, and then another test taker will be driving. I saw the dude get failed for going too slow, and he was turning. It didn't make sense. I took the test twice, and I failed the first time for turning too wide, they said, and the second time he said I didn't stop at a stop sign. And mind you, I'm calling everything out. So like I'm like, "Hai tomarimasu, hai ikimasu, hai shugo de hitari ni ikimasu." Like I'm calling everything out. My Japanese isn't that great, sorry. I'm calling everything out, and this dude still failed me, and even though I know I stopped. My friends saw me stop. It's BS. Both times I took the test, not a single person passed. It was 30 to 40 people the first and second time I went. Not a single person passed. No one passed. Um, it's ridiculous. It's really hard, and I'll get into the details on why that is and why I think that is here in a moment. But it's insane. And if you pass your first try, then more power to you. But for most people, if even if you're an experienced driver or great driver, you're not gonna pass. Um, and if you fail one, you basically only have two tries to get the test, right? So once you pass the written test, that little certificate is only good for 3 months. Um, it's 3 to 6 months, or no, maybe 4 months. I think it's like 4 months or something. Well, it take every time you make an appointment for the driver's test, it's about a 2 to 3 month wait. So you only have a time for one or two attempts on the driver's test before you have to start the entire process over from step one, right? So you already don't have time. You either pass the first or the second time, or you're done. And that's exactly what happened to me. I failed the first and second time, and I basically said, fuck this. I'm done. I'm not dealing with this. And I decided to go to driving school. And this is where I'm going to get into why it is made to make you fail. So I paid about $2,000, went to a driver school, um, and it was 2,000 because I did an English and I did a expedited course, like a 3 week course. So it was just back to back to back. It's usually like 1,200, 1,500 probably if you're not in a rush. Um, and so that school is partnered with, I'm not gonna name the school, and I'm not gonna get name names, but that school is partnered with basically the big prefecture's license center. So much so that they have reserved slots. So their students get slots before anyone else for the written test drive, or not the written test, for the driver's test. They have slots. Well, the written test too. They have slots for that. Actually, sorry, I'm all jumbled up. For the written test, they have slots for that, right? And my instructor told me, because I told him my background, my experience, and how I failed, and how frustrated I was, and he basically said that their job is not to he basically said their job is to make people fail. And it's not that they hate foreigners, it's not that it's a bias or anything. There's like two, three big reasons. One, a lot of the cops it's all police officers that are the test center takers. They don't want to be there. They got put on duty. If you're in the army, imagine getting put on like drill sergeant duty. Like it's one of those things that everyone hates doing, right? For 3 or 4 years or 2, 3 years you're stuck doing something you fucking hate, right? These cops don't want to be there. That's a big reason. They're grumpy, they're annoyed, they just don't want to deal with it. The second reason, the Japanese people taking the test there are people that had their license revoked, which means drunk driving, racing, whatever. They have their license revoked. So these police officers are already kind of like looking down kind of on the people taking the test, right? Because you're looking at drunk drivers, at people that maybe hit someone, you know, all types of stuff. And for a cop, they deal with those people, and then they see them taking the test, and then they have a stigma, and that kind of inadvertently goes to the foreigners too. Even though the foreigners didn't do anything wrong, they kind of already have that mindset turned on, right? And the third reason is just because before the rule change in 2025, a lot of foreigners were causing accidents, like a lot. They would come on a tourist visa, few weeks, get a license quickly, and then they cause accidents. I know it's a big problem. I think in Okinawa now, there was something on the news recently about a car accident. A lot of um foreigners are causing car accidents. So they needed to change the rules, and I don't think a lot of people said it was unfair, it was racist. I don't think that way at all. I think it's smart. You don't want people that are coming as tourists to be hurting or killing people that are citizens, They we're just visitors, or a lot of people we're just visitors. You got to respect the country. You got to respect their rules. It's not right to get a license when you don't know how to drive on the left hand side of the road and just wing it and hope for the best. That's not right. So, although it sucks, I do think the changes that Japan made were necessary, but because of that, it does suck. So, my recommendation is don't even bother with the license conversion. Completely stay away from it. Just go straight to a driver's school as if you're a high school student. You're gonna see nothing but kids in there. Um, just do a driver's school. It's gonna save you time, might even save you money if you're paying for all these practice courses. And the way it works is you pay for the practice course, you give them almost the same paperwork, like your Jumenkyo and ID card. That's all they really need. Um, and you do a bunch of you do drivers, like just regular drivers classes. You have a couple of in-person classes, like a personality test, a CPR class, and then halfway through you have your learner's permit test. You do that, you get your learner's permit, but they don't give it to you. You can't take it home and drive with your friend that, is 21, 22. They keep it there. You can't drive still without it. And then you start driving on public roads, on the ways, up mountains. You go through all of that, and then at the very end they have a driver's test, which is about 5 to 6 minutes, and they tell you turn left here, turn right, go straight, stop, do parallel parking, whatever. They will tell you every single step because the way my driver's teacher told me is the driver schools are paid to pass you, to help you pass, to make sure you can drive. So they are trying their best to help you. And they are super nice, super patient, great teachers. Whereas the test center is to filter out the people that don't deserve to be there. It's a strict filter, but it's meant to filter people out. And the way I think of it is basically Japan is moving in a way that they want you to go to driver's school. They don't want to give out the conversion license. And it makes sense. I mean, Americans, we drive on the right hand side of the road. It's imagine riding with your right hand and then trying to drive with your left hand. It's not easy. When I first started driving, I drove a few times before I had a license that I shouldn't have. I made a mistake. I would turn onto the right lane when you're supposed to turn on the left. Your brain has that natural wiring and you need to rewire it. So no matter how good of a driver you think you are, it's just psychological. Your brain's wired. If you've been driving for a long time to move a certain way, turn a certain way, do all these types of things. And I think the driving time you get in the course is worth the money. It's expensive, but it's worth the money to be able to practice and rewire your brain, learn the Japanese rules, because there is a lot of weird rules, in Japan that we don't have in the US. For example, at a red light, in the US, you can turn right if there's no traffic coming. In Japan, if there is a red light, it could be an empty road, you still can't go left. So my recommend and in total the process for driver's school is about if you do a rush school, it's about a month and a half. They also have the camps, which I think are like 2 or 3 weeks maybe, and those I heard are pretty fun. Depending on your age, if you're just gotten college, it'll be pretty fun for you because it's a lot of young people. If you're a little older, like 20, late 20s, maybe it's a little weird. But I've heard those are pretty fun. You can make a lot of friends. It's basically like a summer camp. You go stay at like a little kind of summer camp dorm with a bunch of other Japanese students, and you wake up, eat breakfast with them, go do your courses, eat lunch with them. It's really like a summer camp, and I think that's pretty fast too. I think that might be faster than like a rush course. And then you can do your regular length driving course, which is about 2.5 months. So it just depends on what you're looking for and what you're trying to do. But yeah, I mean, if you are dead set on conversion, just be prepared to you're gonna get frustrated, and if you pass your first second time you're lucky, but I mean, even my driver's teacher said they really don't normally pass people till they're fourth or fifth time. You know, they kind of have non-spoken standards of what they allow and don't allow, you know. Um, so yeah, I mean, I wish y'all the best of luck. If y'all have any comments, feel free to comment. I'll try to help the best I can. I'm not quite sure how good this camera quality is. Um, and I'm not too good at editing, so this is just gonna be a raw upload, but I am gonna be making this a car channel. So the next video I make, I'm gonna make it probably right after this, is gonna be about the buying car process in Japan and how that works, right? And then I'm gonna be posting a bunch of, you know, car meet videos, what Japan's street car life is like compared to American car culture. And you know, I like racing, I like car meets, so I'm gonna be making a bunch of videos about that. If that's your type of thing, then uh go ahead and follow or subscribe, whatever it's called, and I'll be posting those type of things. If not, then I wish y'all the best of luck. I hope this video was helpful and I didn't talk too fast. But yeah, y'all have a good day and, you know, take it easy.